Hi, Andrew from SACS. I'm here to talk to you about the SACS approach to reasonable adjustments. I'm sure you've heard the term, but in the world of disability, reasonable adjustments is making adjustments to due processes to ensure fairness. This is the SACS approach to reasonable adjustments. Firstly, we will undertake reasonable adjustments for candidates who may have disability, neurodiversity, or other health or mental health related concerns. I think one of the most important things about reasonable adjustments is that it's far better for everybody if the candidate discloses their need for reasonable adjustments before they undertake psychometric assessment. So we strongly encourage clients to welcome candidates to raise this in all of their communications with candidates. Thirdly, we encourage candidates in the assessment invitations that we send to indicate whether they need reasonable adjustments once more before psychometric assessment is undertaken. The forms of reasonable adjustments include things like timed aptitude assessments. Timed aptitude assessments are notoriously difficult to accommodate in the world of reasonable adjustments. The reason for this is that they are normed against a certain time frame, and so the way that the score is generated is really how many you get right of these questions within a certain time period. So adjusting the time frame does endanger the normative accuracy of these assessments. Quite often, if there is a real need for reasonable adjustments in respect of timed tests, we would suggest to the client, don't run timed tests for this candidate. Now, SACS is working to develop untimed cognitive ability measures, and we're going through the research process to do that right now, and that will be much easier to arrange from a reasonable adjustments and from a procedural fairness point of view for people, let's say, with disability. For untimed personality and values assessments, provided that the person sticks to the same device as they complete, they can take breaks during assessments and return later. That leads to the question of assistive technology. SACS will work with you to ensure that assistive technology is as helpful as possible. There are an extremely wide range of assistive technologies, all with their own strengths and limitations, and SACS will provide free credits to ensure that people have a chance to try out their assistive technologies before completing psych tests for occupational purposes. Other adjustment examples will depend on an individual's needs. SACS has many inquiries on the question of reasonable adjustments, and we'll work with you and your candidate to try to make the process as fair and equitable as possible. We also continually work on the question of the accessibility of our software. Things like the portal itself, where candidates complete psych tests, we try to make those as inclusive as possible, and we have upgraded our inclusiveness and accessibility options very heavily over the last few years, and we'll continue to do so. If you're interested in this topic, please don't hesitate to be in touch with SACS, but we give you our commitment that we will make the process as inclusive and fair as possible, and we welcome your suggestions on a case-by-case basis about how to do that.